Hello, amazing entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 176, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/176. In today's episode, I'm sharing with you 5 keys to maximizing sales conversions. So if you know that you could be doing better in converting people from audience members into paying clients, this is going to be a very helpful episode for you. Let's dive on in. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Now, when it comes to your client attraction process, the best and most powerful leverage point is actually conversion, right? If we double your reach on social media, will we double the number of sales you make? No, we will not. If we double your conversion rate, that is literally doubling the number of sales that you make. So it's far more leveraged than, for example, trying to reach more cold audience online. And so when it comes to improving launch results, improving conversion on webinars, when it comes to getting more sales in my business, the first place I look is conversion. So if you are starting to think maybe I need to look at my conversion as well, then I want to share with you these 5 keys that will help you to improve your conversion rates and maximize the number of people who are actually turning into paying clients. So number 1, driver of conversion is connection. If I feel like I know you, then I'm far more likely to buy from you than a stranger on the internet. The example I always give on this is if you go to a friend's house for a lunch and you meet someone new and they are an electrician, you don't go, oh yeah, I need to get some lights moved in my house. Let me Google and see if I can find an electrician, right? You just met someone who solves a problem that you have. That is the person that you are most likely to then engage for that, to solve that problem. And so the more I feel connected to you, the more I feel like I know who you are as a person, whether it's that connection is direct, like I know you, I follow you, I've heard your voice, I know what your face looks like, I can recognize you, or whether it's indirect. So that connection might come from, I have a friend who's worked with you before, or I see that you follow the same mentors that I follow. That can often also create that sense of connection. So how do we increase connection with our audience? Number 1 is to be mindful of where you are consciously or subconsciously keeping people at an arm's length. So for example, if you have an out of office that says, I only answer emails once a week, so wait. Right? And when I send out my newsletter each week, I get anyone who's got their out of office on, I get the out of office. And it is fascinating to me how some people are basically saying, I do not have time to work with you. And I would argue that people emailing you about your business into your business inbox are the most, the highest priority people of all of the people that you could come into contact with, other than your paying clients, for you to be responsive with. And, I love 4-hour work week and productivity and all of that kind of stuff. But people who are emailing you directly about your business are your hottest leads. And so just even looking for those ways where, do you actually encourage people to email you? Do you, when people slide into your direct messages, do you engage with them and create a conversation? Do you encourage people to DM you, or are you trying to keep everyone at arm's length? And there are ways that we can create that connection and nurture those relationships without feeling like we have to be on all the time, or we're constantly answering people's questions and emails and all of that kind of thing. But if I said to you, put 20 minutes a day into one-to-one DMs and emails, and that will significantly increase the number of paying clients you have, would you think it's worth that 20 minutes a day? I would argue yes. We can spend 20 minutes making one Instagram reel that reaches, a couple of thousand strangers on the internet. Yeah, great. But they're not qualified. They're likely not in your niche. They're often not ideal clients for you anyway. That doesn't necessarily even result in a bunch of extra followers online. And yet, how many people would willingly give 20 minutes to create a reel, but would be like, whoa, if I said, jump into your DMs and answer DMs, and jump into your emails and answer emails for 20 minutes. And it's so fascinating to me that that's the case, because connection drives conversion. Number one. Number two, belief drives conversion. Now, there's lots of different layers of belief. There's your belief in yourself, your offer, your business, all of those sorts of things. But it's also their belief. For someone to want to buy from you, to invest in working with you, they need to believe in you and your offer, and they need to believe that they have what it takes to get the result. So part of your messaging really needs to help people to understand how you're going to get them to the result that they want and how you are able to get them there. Because, a lot of people, the reason why they're not investing in working with you is because they actually don't think they've got what it takes. They think you're an amazing provider. They think that your program is brilliant, right? They think that you are a really great teacher, but they don't think they have time. They don't think they have the skills. They don't think that they will stick with it. They don't think they have the attention span, right? There's all these reasons why we believe that even though we've seen you get results with others and your services look amazing, we're not ready for it yet. And so part of your job in your messaging, in your content, is to build people's belief in their ability to achieve that outcome, which is the opposite of what a lot of fear-based marketing will tell you, right? It's telling people they're stuck, they'll never figure it out, right? And then you have to swoop in as the savior. And the only way that they're going to be able to get there is if they have you holding their hand, if they have your step-by-step secrets, if they have your special bespoke process, if they work with you because you're a level 5, blah, blah, qualified XYZ, right? So that's the patriarchal, hierarchical way of selling. But actually, one of the things that people love about the way I teach selling and consent-based marketing in general is that the whole way through the process, you are building your ideal client's belief in themselves, and you don't have to profess to be a guru, and you are not in a hierarchy above them in any way. And so the more that you build your audience's belief in themselves and their belief in their ability to get those results, actually, the more likely they are to buy from you because they feel confident that they have what it takes and that they can bring everything together. Number 3 thing that improves conversion is qualifying and confirming. So the qualifying and confirming is a part of the sales process where we ensure that the person who's interested is actually going to get the benefit or is actually in the right space to work with you. So in a sales conversation, that's asking questions about how long the person's been working on this, what are they stuck with, what are they looking for, right? So all those questions you ask in your sales conversation, but the important part of it is the confirmation. So it's not just asking the questions and you get it, right? Oh, yep, I'm totally going to be able to help you. It's also reflecting back to that person and confirming that that's what they want as well. So in a sales conversation, the way it shows up for me is I will generally say something like, okay, so what I'm hearing here is that if we could X, then you would feel like Y and Z, right? So it might be, if we could get your messaging and value proposition super strong, you would feel far more confident showing up on social media and posting, and that's going to help you to grow your audience and your business. Is that what you're thinking? Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Okay, well, that's exactly what we can do together in this, right? So because we've already agreed that on what they want and what it's going to get them, and we've confirmed that back and forth together, then the chances that they're going to buy the thing that we recommend to achieve that actually increases. So qualifying, confirming, in my sales conversation structures that we use, in like all the spaces where I talk about sales conversations, like that is a big part of that process. So if you've learned sales conversations from me before, that comes as no surprise to you. But you can also qualify and confirm in other spaces when it comes to conversion. So for example, on a webinar, when you're selling something, before you get into the pitch, make sure you're all on the same page. Do that qualifying and confirming statements. So in my webinars and a lot of my workshops, I'll ask questions as we go. And then towards the end, I'll just check in and make sure we're all on the same page about what it's going to take from here or what their plan is from here. And so by doing that, then when I present, okay, well, if you want help with that piece, come and join the takeoff program. It makes far more sense to people because we're on the same page about what they need, and then the takeoff program delivers on what they need. So you can do that in a broadcast way, it doesn't just have to be one-to-one. Of course, the more powerful, the more connected and more one-on-one and the more bespoke it is to the individual, the more likely it's going to result in conversion. But you can still use that qualifying and confirming when it comes to getting conversion in a broadcast way or in a one-to-many way. You'll see qualifying and confirming at play in email marketing. You'll see qualifying and confirming at play in direct message selling. There's lots and lots of ways that you can do that. So even just checking in with yourself, do I actually ask enough questions to qualify, is this the right fit for the person? And do I ensure I confirm we're on the same page about what their goals are, what their challenges are, and what they need before I pitch them the product that delivers on that? If not, how can you incorporate that into your marketing and sales approach a little more effectively? Number 4, tangible outcomes improve conversion. So whilst it's very lovely that your program delivers on confidence and helps people feel more calm in their lives, how does that actually impact my day-to-day experience of the world? How does that impact my day-to-day experience of the things that are most important to me as well? So the more tangible we can speak to the outcomes that you're delivering on, the better. Now, I actually have 2 freebies that are going to help you with this. Number 1, the first freebie is my core messaging template. So in that, I help you to break down your core message into more of those tangible outcomes by dividing it into value proposition and also some bridge messaging. So I'll make sure I've got a link to that in the show notes of today's episode so you can get more confident and get better at writing about the tangible outcomes of working with you. And then this next thing that's going to help to improve conversion is having time in the relationship. The longer I've been in a relationship with you and been connected to you, the more likely I am to turn into a paying client. So the second free resource that I have for you today is called Grow Your Audience. And this is for you to help grow your mailing list in particular, but overall grow your audience and have more and more people get to know you sooner rather than later so that we are increasing your chances of conversion down the track. So the longer someone's been on my mailing list, the more likely they are to buy when I launch something. And again, this goes up to the opposite of some of the fear-based marketing tactics that you would have seen out there where they say, if someone doesn't buy from you in the first 30 days, they're never going to buy from you. That's actually a strategy used to create pressure-based selling tactics, and it's not true. So I've seen time and time again, I've seen the numbers, I've seen the data. The longer someone is on your mailing list, the more likely they are to buy from you. Not if they somehow hit this magical 30 days, all of a sudden they're not interested in you anymore and they'll never buy from you. That's actually not true. It's a reason used to justify high pressure based selling and spamming people in the first 30 days that they join your mailing list, but it's actually not true. So don't fall for any of that hype. You don't need to fall into that pressure based selling. Remember that you are interacting with a bunch of humans here. Your mailing list, your audience, they are all human beings. You get to treat them that way. You don't need to treat them as numbers. And the more that you create that beautiful, strong relationship, the longer that they hang around, the more likely they are to buy something from you. So we don't want to use churn and burn strategies, having super high unsubscribe rates, because you're missing out on that opportunity to develop that relationship. And I know, like even for myself as a buyer, and you've probably done this before as well, I've signed up to free things, webinars, mailing lists with the express intention of buying from someone, but I received so many spammy emails in the first 6 to 7 days that it completely turns me off. And so I think, well, if that's what they do to me, that's what they're going to teach me to do to others. And I'm not really interested in learning those kinds of strategies. So I unsubscribe. So, people say, oh, people who unsubscribe, they're never going to buy from you anyway. I would argue that that's not the case. Now, of course, there are going to be people who unsubscribe because they aren't interested anymore, or they aren't interested in buying from you. Absolutely. But if you're seeing super high unsubscribe rates because you're sending 15 emails in 4 days, which some marketing strategists recommend, then I would argue that a huge portion of those people who unsubscribed are not unsubscribing because they're not interested in the outcome. They're unsubscribing because you're spamming them. And so we want to create this opportunity for you to build your audience over the long term and build that relationship over the long term as well. So as I said, if you come to the show notes of today's episode, tashcorbin.com/176, I'll have links to those 2 freebies for you there. Number 1 is the core messaging freebie. And then the second one is the grow your audience training. Those 2 things together will help you to increase conversions, increase your audience growth, and get those sales coming in the door so that you can show up and serve more people. We are all going to change the world together. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.